Good morning, good morning, good morning. I wanted to come on this morning and share something with you in hopes, once again, that it inspires you to keep going, to keep going. I want to talk about something that many people are expressing today, whether they're saying it out loud or they're just showing it on their faces. Fear. I want to talk about that this morning because it's a real thing. If you allow it to take over you, if you allow it to take over you, that fear will take you out. And that is why it's so important that we find ourselves not allowing fear to take us over. Okay? When you start feeling fear, this is just my philosophy, start looking for the facts because something is going on that's causing you and I, when we get to that point, to feel unsure about what we believe and what we trust and who we trust. Because misinformation is what brings about fear. You have to dig deeper for the truth in life. That's overall. In life, you and I, we have to dig deeper for truth. Or fear will embody us and we won't know how we got from this level in life in our mental almost down to the ground. Because we're allowing for whatever it is, circumstances, people, your surroundings, you're allowing that to feed into your life. And it's not benefiting you because it's taking away, and anything that does not add to your life subtracts from your life. But I want to this morning, before I go any further, to share something with you, okay, from my reading, before I go any further, and hopes that it touches you in some way, that whatever that fear is, to calm down. Because fear, again, is false evidence appearing real because you are following mis or disinformation. And now you're all confused because what you once believed, you're starting to doubt that. What you once stood on, you're starting to doubt that. And that is why fear and how fear comes in and takes a seat in your life, and it won't move. Fear will not move unless you get up and do something. And stop listening just to hear something, and start getting yourself mentally and physically involved in life. Okay? Here we go. In my reading that I want to share with you this morning, only it'll take a minute. I am the culmination of all your hopes and desires. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, who is and was and is to come. Before you knew me, you expressed your longing for me in hurtful ways. You were ever so vulnerable to the evil around you in the world. But now my presence safely shields you, unfolding you in my loving arms, enfolding you in my loving arms. I have lifted you out of darkness into my marvelous light. I want to deal with that portion of you expressed your longing for me in hurtful ways. You were ever so vulnerable to the evil around you. You were ever so vulnerable to the evil around you in the world. But now my presence safely shields you. My presence. This is coming from the book that I always read, Jesus Calling. My presence. See, God has to be present in your life. That safely, he said, it safely shields you. All these things that's coming into your mental and draining and straining and dragging you down. You've got to let that go. Because fear will make you look at things that's not even real. They just appear to be that way because something else has you caught up in a time capsule. And you're about to explode because it keeps you on edge. Fear, false evidence appearing real, keeps you on edge. Because you're feeding yourself the wrong plate of food. I'm not talking about physical food, like you go out there and cook something and eat it. I'm talking about the words that you are consuming yourself with, whether it's coming to people or coming from just things that you see and you make an assumption about it. It's creating fear. I look at right now, all of this stuff going on with our democracy. I'm just going to put that in there because that's what the streets are talking about. We're on we're just teetering with our democracy. And many people aren't paying attention. But those of us who are, and we're trying to do something about it, letting your voice be heard, voting, you got to get in the fight, and you got to fight fear. Because people that don't believe in what you believe in, they push against honest, truthful belief. And they take lies covered in mustard, worse than mustard on a hot dog. They take the truth and they cover it up like mustard on a hot dog. And they let it soak into that bone, into that, what you call that, the bond. They let it, that's what they're doing to you, and that's what they're doing to me. I'm talking about people will do that. And they put it in your head, and you soak it up, and your brain absorbs it. And you'll walk around in fear about something you don't really know much about because you're not reading about it. You're not doing the necessary things to find out about the truth about it. You're just soaking up whatever you're being told. You've got to get in the game when fear presents itself and say, I'm just not going to sit here and just allow this thing to consume my life. Because I'm telling you, it's too many people who this thing called fear is consuming on an everyday basis. And so then you get to the point, where fear brings about? Hopelessness. Fear brings about hopelessness. Because you begin to feel like, nothing I do is going to work anyway, so I'm just not going to do nothing. And I'm talking about everyday life. When God, through this reading here, is reminding you that his presence in your life shields you. You don't need nobody to tell you who you are and what you are. God is your creator. He knows who you are. He knows what you are. He knows all about you. Every day, you're going to come in contact with somebody who feels like they have the desire to define your life, your destination in life. Don't let people do that. And if they are, you need to stop them, because all they're doing is placing fear in your life, because you don't do something according to their standards, the way that they think that you ought to react, or they think that you ought to handle something. You know how life goes. But we have to sit down and have real conversations with people. Get into the hearts of people. Check in and see how somebody else is doing. Some conversations that somebody else may be having. Maybe you need to sit down with those individuals and talk and remind them, God has brought you this far. Don't you sit down now. As far as God has brought you, don't you sit down now. Like I see younger kids, well, they don't like me and I don't know why they don't like me, and we used to be friends. See, adults are acting like that now. You don't have nothing to do with how somebody feel about you. You can't change people's feelings about you. Because all you're going to do when you do that, when you own someone else's behavior, all you're going to do is hurt yourself. You can't own somebody else's behavior and think that you're going to be all right. The one that's going to be all right is them, because they're getting everything that they want, and because they're draining you and they're placing fear on the inside of you, because you got to heart yourself. Y'all hear me say that? It just simply means you got to love yourself first before you can love somebody else. But the only way that you're going to be able to love yourself first, to heart yourself first, is you've got to get rid of that fear. Because everything will seem as though it's against you. It's your opposition. That's the way it works when you allow for people to do that to you. Sometimes, let me tell you, sometimes, and this is a fact, people's lives get so busy. And it don't mean that they've forgotten about you. It don't mean that they don't love you. It don't mean that you don't come across their mind. It just means that their life is at a point where they've got to focus on some other things that is now priority. But fear will come in and tell you they don't like you. You must have done something to them. No, but God already knows that life was going to make a shift. That, again, it doesn't mean that you should let fear take a seat in your life, because fear is going to make you lonely. It's going to get you to a point of loneliness. It's going to get you to a point of being defensive, because you think what people are doing, and they're trying to live their everyday life to the best of their ability. Some people are sick. Some people got financial problems. Some people got some kids that's in trouble. Some people are taking care of somebody else that's sick. People got stuff that's going on. People got things going on these jobs that we have to go to and earn a living to have the things that we have. And we sit back and think, oh, something must be wrong with me because they don't show me the attention that they used to. That is nothing but fear trying to take a seat in your life by telling you that those people that God put in your life and the things, the opportunities that you've gotten in life is somehow going against you, right? And God say, no, listen to me. I am present in your life. I know all about your life. That stuff that you are seeing, I already knew that you was going to have that experience. Do not allow fear to take you over, because fear is not of God. Fear is not of God. And let me tell you something, out of all honesty, I've faced fear. I have faced fear. And if all of us are honest with ourselves, you're not such a giant in life. You're not such a big Christian in life that you never dealt with fear. But you have to get to that point, and God will reveal it to you what fear really is. He revealed it to me. It's just false evidence appearing real. Electra, you got to get up and do something. You got to believe in me. You got to know that I'm present in your life. You got to know that I know that you love me and that I need you to trust me. See, that's me. That's my conversation with God. That's my relationship with God. And you have the same thing, but you got to tap into what he's telling to you and get away from what the world is telling you. Because the world have encapsulated us, and many of us, and we're walking around with insecurity, unsureness, just everything that works against God and what he has told us when we constantly say, he is the foundation in my life. Well, why don't you treat him that way? Treat him that way. Every day, it's not going to be the kind of day that you planned. But it's a good day because God woke you up to let you see another day. He did that. God did that. Not me. You can wake your grandchildren up, go in there and shake them and tell them it's time for school. Wake your children up, go in there and tell them it's time. But let me tell you something. When God wakes you up, that's a great awakening because he wakes everything up in your life. He wakes up your physical. He wakes up your mental. He wakes up everything about you. God wakes it up in your life and in my life. Sure, I can tell you there are times, I want to use this example, when I was going to school, right? When I was in college, and there were times I would just say, oh my God, this test, I suffer with test anxiety. And I know that. But see, God already knew that too. So he put something in place for a person like me, right? That suffers with test anxiety. It's called the disabilities department. So I could go and test by myself. See, God, let me tell you something. And that was a fear for me. That was fearful for me. See, I always tell y'all, I can't tell you something when I'm not talking about myself. You can't talk about what you don't know about. So I would go every semester. I would have to sign up with the disabilities department so that I could test by myself. I could have the lighting that I need because of my vision. I mean, it's things that had to be set up, that were set up for me. But God did that to calm my fears. False evidence appearing real. What I'm saying, the fear, before I recognized that, had me so afraid that I literally said, can I do this college thing? Can I do this? You know what it also told me? Because everybody's smarter than me. Shoes, they go in there and take them tests. I don't know what them people making on them tests, nor was it any of my business. But God said, what I've got for you, I've got for you. And what I have for them, I have for them. But you got to grow into the knowledge and the truths of him. And that is why, let me tell y'all something. My husband taught me so well. And I thank God for the things that he taught me. Good morning, Sister Sullivan. This going to be a beautiful day. Good morning. My husband taught me so well that he would say to me, by the time I was in the master's program, I was married, right? He would tell me, listen, you know why you can do this? You know why you can do this? You can do this because those professors down there got theirs. You think that God will let them have something that he won't allow you the opportunity to have? You just got to go get it. You've got to, here we go. You've got to get rid of that fear. He taught me that. He said, because that's nothing but false evidence appearing real. You think that thing is real. You think that you can't do it because man told you couldn't do it. But God say that you can do anything as long as you trust him, as long as you stand with him, as long as you know that you know that you know who he is. See, when you love God like that, God loves you right back. He loves you right back. His presence is in your life. His presence is in my life. He's watching over us, y'all. He really is. With everything that's going on in the world right now, you got to know that you know that you know that God is watching over you. He's taking care of you. He's not going to allow that enemy to destroy you. And I can tell you out of all honesty, because I deal with a lot of people. My job calls for it. And I look at fear in the face of many people. And my thing is once we start talking, and I will say, once they disclose, because they have to disclose first what they're feeling, their feelings of fear. So many people. And that fear brings about depression. And it brings about anxiety. And it brings you to a point in life where you feel like you can't do that thing that God has blessed you to even take a seat in that classroom, to even wake up and be in your right mind, to walk into a new journey in life. And my thing is, you can do it. You got to get rid of the fear. You can't feed fear, because the longer you feed fear, it's going to grow up in you. It's just like your children. The more you feed them and take care of them, they grow up, right? The more you feed fear, it will grow up in your life. It will consume your life. It will make you age in your life, because you are looking at the circumstances instead of looking at who's in control of the circumstances in your life, in my life. But I take that opportunity to let them know I've been where you are. I know how that feels. I sat on the other side of this desk. I had to go and talk to counselors. I had to go and talk to instructors. I had to do what I had to do to try to get through, to make it right. And guess what? I'm not looking down on you. God is looking down on you, but he's looking down on you in a special way, because he want to notify you that he's present in your life. He gave you that opportunity, and he will bless you in that opportunity. I have said this time and time again, something people didn't know about me. I was very cautious about my skin because I suffered with acne really bad. And you know, when you in grade school, kids are so mean when you have acne. They are very mean. Any flaw that you might have that they can see physically, they pick at you. They call it now bullying. But back in the day, they didn't do that. You just had to deal with that stuff. And it took a big impact on my life. Yes, it did. It had an impact on my life. And don't you know, see, some good things came out of the pandemic. During that time was when God showed me myself. I made you. I created you. I gave you gifts that you won't even use. You don't want to go on to the social media because you're afraid of what somebody's going to say about your skin. You done drug your younger years into your latter days. You got to stop that. That's all fear. See, I'm talking about my own. I can't talk to you when I don't talk about myself. That was fear of putting my face out here. But God helped me through that. God helped me through that because he knew. And now I come on in boldness. In boldness, I don't mean that in a braggadocious way. I'm saying boldness in the Lord. He made me. He created me. He even raised my daughter up. She is now a licensed esthetician. She takes care of my skin. Isn't that something? How God said, if you just wait on me, I got some blessings for you. Just wait on me. Just trust me. And I've been on here, on my business channel, this channel right here, and my regular channel, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. God did that. But for his purpose. for his purpose. Move out of fear. That thing is going to kill you. I can say it to you because it was once me. God don't want us to live like that. He really doesn't. Not in fear. He said, Electra, now put your name in there. But to me, Electra, I need you to get away from that because I'm present in your life. He's saying the same thing to you that he said to me. Electra, hey, come out of that dark corner. I'm present in your life. I already knew you was going to have acne. I already knew that you was going to be sick as a little girl coming up. I already knew that. I already knew that you was going to be small. I already knew that the people was going to make fun of you. I already knew that. And that's why I never left you. I never forsake you. I was always right there with you because I was doing something with you. It's some things that other people went through in life that you didn't go through. And I brought them out. Why do you think I wouldn't bring you out? Stop hiding my gift that I gave you. God gave me a gift of communication, and I'm grateful for it. I'm so grateful for it. I'm grateful for each and every one of you who will tune in to my different platforms. I'm grateful. That's why I'm always saying thank you. My granddaughter asked me, she said, Grandma, you always say thank you. I said, let me tell you something. Your personality will take you further than a dollar bill will any day. You always have to say thank you. You know why? You know why? Because people don't have to give you their time. People don't have to tune in to you. People don't have to do the things that they do for you. People don't have to show you love. People don't have to show you consideration. People don't have to support you. You got to be grateful for it all. And I am. I'm grateful for it all. And I've said this since day one. I don't care if I got one person. That's one person that God sent to listen to his child, to his daughter. And that one person means just as much as if I had 1 million viewers. Because I'm not looking at the numbers. I'm looking at the gift that God gave me. I'm looking at the vision that God gave me. Because when God called me out, he didn't have a conference call. He did not have a conference call. That conversation was between me and him. And it's not just about me. It's about all of us. That's what he does with all of us. So don't be afraid of your gifts. Don't be afraid of what God put on the inside of you. Don't be afraid of the beauty that God gave you. Don't lower your standards because of what the world say you ought to look like. Look at how God made you because he broke the mold when he made you. That's why we are all different. Even twins is something minutely different about twins because God put something in each one of us that sets us apart from one another. It's uniqueness that comes from him. I pray that what I say this morning, these words of inspiration and encouragement will touch your life, that you just keep going and keep doing what you are doing. You are worthy. You are worthy of everything, every blessing that God has placed in and over your life. You are worthy of it. But you can't see it if you allow fear to take you over. And if you feed it, long as you feed fear, you cannot see God's presence in and over your life. God has placed people around you. Yes, he has. To be your armor bearer. He's done that. To feed you some words of inspiration, some words of encouragement. If it's nothing but, sis, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Not because I said it, but because God said it. But you got to stop feeding that fear, because that's just false evidence appearing real. My husband, I lost him on December 9th, 2015. And it's so many things that he left with me that I will stand and I'll find myself laughing about it, because I wasn't always receptive of what he would say. But he said, don't worry about it. You're going to need it down the line. And I see myself now saying, you were telling the truth. Even though I knew he was telling the truth at that time. But you know what? You know how us women are. But I thank God for his teaching. I thank God for sitting right in a home with him, where he was sharing and dropping nuggets into my life that I was going to need to keep going, to keep going. And I want you to keep going. We got this. We just have to get rid of this fear and keep moving. Because guess what? God is present in our lives. Okay? Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.